My unfaithful wife gambled our company on her affair, so I claimed it all. My wife and I were set to back a new movie, but things immediately went sideways. During the financing meeting, she blindsided everyone by declaring she was ditching our A-list lead for some unknown actor. I tried to protest, but she completely brushed me aside. Then, Sophia made an incredibly audacious promise to the room. Penn Marks will be our male lead. This movie will gross $200 million guaranteed. If it falls short, I'll personally cover every loss. Her investment record was spotless, so the other backers, however grudgingly, went along with it. I cleared my throat. Sorry, but if that's the case, I'm pulling my investment from this project. You're all on your own. The moment those words left my mouth, every single head in the room swiveled to stare at me, hidden away in my corner seat. Then the whispers started, quickly escalating into open snickering. What a joke. Publicly defying his own wife? Does he even know who he's talking to? Everyone knows the Miller Holdings heir is completely useless. He almost ruined the company. If he hadn't married that brilliant woman, they'd be bankrupt by now. He usually just stays in the shadows, riding her success. Now he's trying to act important? The guy has no self-awareness. The chatter grew louder, and Sophia Hayes' face darkened. She crossed her arms, her voice laced with venom. Liam, don't you forget who actually runs things here. Every successful venture we've touched was my decision. I've never lost a penny. What makes you think you can question my investment strategy? I calmly spun the pen in my hand. I don't like your choice for the lead. I think it's a risk. You got a problem with that? I paused, gripping the pen tighter, and met her gaze with a cold stare. Last I checked, the company's still called Miller Holdings. You can be rude to your husband all you want, but you should at least show some respect to its heir, don't you think? Sophia shot up from her chair in a rage, slamming the project proposal onto the table. Without me, you'd be bankrupt and in debt for the rest of your life, she hissed. And now you're trying to pull rank on me? Look around. Does anyone in this company respect you? My brow twitched as my eyes locked on hers. Sophia, are you really going to burn this bridge with your husband over some actor? The truth was, I'd gotten a tip before this meeting. This entire movie was marketed to investors under the banner of a huge Oscar-winning star. But just as the contracts were being drawn up, Sophia pulled the offer and began negotiating with Penn Marks, a complete nobody from the streaming world. As the primary investor, she should have at least run it by me. Instead, she bypassed me completely and dropped this bombshell in the middle of the financing meeting. My wife and I had been married for 5 years. If she wanted to give a boost to some young actor, I wouldn't have cared. But this was a massive, 9-figure production. Not only did she ignore my objection, but she personally guaranteed the returns to the other investors just for him. This guy came from web series, a pretty boy with no real acting talent and absolutely zero box office appeal. He was nowhere near ready to carry a blockbuster film. I had a sinking feeling there was more to this than met the eye. She, however, was clueless that I was onto her and continued to tear me down. Liam, do you honestly believe you're important? Since when do I need your permission for anything? Open your eyes and see who truly runs this place. Without me, you're nothing but a parasite who almost destroyed Miller Holdings. As she got more worked up, her voice grew shrill. I'm telling you right now, Penn Marks is playing this role, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Before I could even react, Sophia's assistant chimed in, pretending to smooth things over, but her eyes were full of scorn. Mr. Miller, please don't make things difficult for Ms. Hayes. Your family. This is just embarrassing for everyone, she said. For years, Ms. Hayes has been the driving force of this company, while you've just sat in your office signing papers. Is it really appropriate to pull the heir card on her now? Her words were soft, but every syllable was a backhanded slap, clearly calling me useless. The room erupted in laughter, some not even trying to hide it. I chuckled along with them, then spoke calmly. You're right. I guess I have no choice but to approve Penn Marks for the role. Well, then let's get him in here to sign the contract before anyone changes their mind. A smug, I knew I could handle you look spread across Sophia's face. Penn Marks walked in as if he'd been waiting right outside the door. See, Mr. Miller, you should have just agreed from the start, he said with a smirk. Sophia had already made up her mind. Why waste everyone's time arguing? I've already signed my contract. I hope all the investors can trust me. Unlike some men, I'm more than capable of handling responsibility. His condescending tone didn't bother me. In fact, it made me feel calmer. The way Sophia looked at Penn was filled with admiration and approval. A seed of suspicion had been planted. I already had someone looking into it, but until I got the report, I wanted to see for myself, so I asked casually, a verbal promise for $200 million at the box office doesn't mean much, does it? The investors weren't idiots. Even with Sophia's guarantee, without a written agreement, they would all share the loss if the movie bombed. Sophia understood my implication. A scornful smile played on her lips. You're talking about a performance guarantee? I've never been afraid of one of those. Someone, print up an agreement. According to her own terms, if the box office didn't hit $200 million, she would have to personally make up the difference. The risk was enormous. One misstep could ruin her. But she was completely unfazed, utterly confident the movie would be a massive hit. Someone started clapping. Now that's leadership. What a waste for her to be married to such a deadbeat. Seriously, with a wife that capable, he's still a spineless loser who can't pull his own weight. With Ms. Hayes' word on it, I'm in for another $5 million. Buoyed by the praise, Sophia's ego swelled. My real goal was to make her back down. I was even willing to let her cast Penn, just so the breach of contract fees from the studio and the original actor would teach her a lesson. But I never imagined she'd sign a personal guarantee for this guy. That confirmed it. For Sophia to go this far for Penn marks, their relationship had to be more than just professional. The agreement was brought in moments later. Sophia took out a pen and flipped to the last page. You're going to regret this. After all, we had been married for years. I thought I should give her one last chance. Without even looking up, she signed her name with deliberate strokes. My word is my bond. God, you're such a wishy-washy man. So pathetic. Aren't you worried I'll divorce you over this reckless gamble? When you can't pay up, I have no intention of cleaning up your mess. At that, the room went quiet. Jaws dropped. Scornful looks shot in my direction. Unbelievable. When Miller Holdings was on the brink of collapse, it was Sophia Hayes who married him and brought in a massive influx of cash to save the day. The guy's a real piece of work. She not only brought the capital, but she also turned around all the failing projects he'd run into the ground. This is classic, kicking the ladder out from under her. Now that the company's worth billions, he wants to push her out. I knew they all saw me as a clown. For years, Sophia had been the public face of Miller Holdings. When she inherited her family's fortune, she came to me looking for a fresh start. It just so happened I was dealing with an internal power struggle at the company. As a solo operator, she was the perfect person to put out front. I let her build her reputation while I pulled the strings from the shadows. Later, she told me she loved me. I didn't dislike her, and marriages in our world are rarely about love anyway, so I married her. I never imagined that once she got a taste of power sitting at the top of Miller Holdings, she'd stop giving me the time of day. And now, to sign a massive financial guarantee for another man, that was a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Sophia rolled her eyes, a mocking sneer on her face. Miller Holdings might have your name on it, but the majority of the shares are in my name. If we divorce, you'll get a payout, and that's it. You'd better spend it wisely. If you blow it all and end up homeless, don't come crying to me. She'd held the power for so long, she'd started to think it was actually hers. She had no idea that her own words were digging her into a hole. I couldn't help but look at her with pity, which only infuriated her more. What's with that look, Liam? Don't push your luck. Penn Marks jumped to her defense, his voice filled with righteous indignation. Sophia is your wife. Even if you don't trust her business acumen, you're going to stab her in the back like this? What kind of man are you? My response was calm. Sorry, but you and I aren't the same. I, Liam Miller, have never used a woman to get ahead. His words sent another ripple of murmurs through the room. Wow, how can he say that with a straight face? If you're so capable, why don't you run the company yourself instead of relying on Sophia? What gutter did he crawl out of? He's gotten a taste of his wife's success, and now he thinks he's special. First, the tough guy act, now threatening divorce. He's such a drama queen. It's a shame he's not in showbiz. Penn Marks roared with laughter, his eyes filled with undisguised contempt. Showbiz isn't a dumpster. We don't just let any piece of trash in here, he sneered. Threatening your wife with divorce? You don't deserve a woman like Sophia. From Sophia's expression, I could tell she was savoring the moment. An entire room of people tearing me down while praising her. She pulled out a set of divorce papers and slammed them on the table in front of me. You're the one who brought up divorce. Let's see if you have the guts to sign. I caught a flash of excitement in Penn's eyes. Pathetic. They were trying to use reverse psychology on me. I stared at Sophia and asked calmly, is that how you feel, too? That I don't deserve you. Sophia tapped her finger on the documents. Do you have any self-awareness at all? I'm sick and tired of you being so short-sighted and useless. You live your life like a coward. The man I, Sophia Hayes, want is someone who can stand tall and build an empire, not a spineless weakling like you. I gestured toward Penn with my chin. Someone like him? Her face changed instantly. Don't be ridiculous, she snapped. Penn's an actor. Rumors like that would be bad for him, and for the project. You're not half the man anyone in this room is, not just Penn. Let's get divorced. Stop trying to change the subject. Several men in the room nodded in agreement. A few even straightened their ties and puffed out their chests. First, he tries to sabotage his wife. And when that doesn't work, he tries to smear her reputation. What a disgrace to the business community. Just sign the papers and let a good woman go. My gaze swept coldly across the room. Sophia had signed the guarantee, meaning no matter how badly the movie failed, someone else was on the hook for the losses. Of course, they were all happy to kiss her feet. I wondered if this mob of yes men would still be laughing in a few minutes. You already have the divorce papers ready. It's clear you've won it out for a while. In that case, there's no reason for me to stand in your way. Sophia cut me off impatiently. Finally, a little self-awareness. Sign the papers and get out. We have project details to discuss. This little drama was finally reaching its climax. A faint smile touched my lips. What project? Like I said from the beginning, I'm not playing this game with any of you. Or is Miss Hayes planning to direct the movie herself? We could call it The Investor. Her face went dark. You useless piece of trash. You just don't learn, do you? She yelled. We're getting a divorce. This project has nothing to do with you. What, are you trying to squeeze more money out of me? Just name your price. Stop making a fool of yourself with this stubborn act. Penn chimed in again. You're delusional. Miller Holdings is about to become Hayes Holdings. What do you possibly have to fight Sophia with? I nodded as if agreeing. Good point. But did you happen to notice the name on the master project proposal? The manager of record? It's mine. Sophia looked shocked. She scrambled through the papers and found it. Sure enough, my name was there. I had secured the project and then handed it over to her. She had gotten so used to running the show at the company that she hadn't even bothered to read the fine print. A nervous energy filled the room. No one wanted to see a deal this profitable slip through their fingers. But she recovered quickly. So what? I control the shares of Miller Holdings. Without my backing, you can't handle a project this big on your own. You still need me. I picked up on her cue. You all say I'm useless, I said cheerfully. So what if I let this project die in my hands? At least it'll give everyone a good laugh, right? Penn stormed over to me, spitting as he yelled in my face. You're insane. You know I could have security throw you out. I grabbed his tie, pulling it tight around his neck. Sophia shot to her feet. Stop it. What do you think you're doing? Calmly, I used the end of Penn's tie to wipe the spit off my face. A little too eager, aren't we, kid? The game's just getting started. With a hard shove, I sent Penn stumbling backward. He landed on the floor with a thud, his eyes red with rage. An older investor, unable to watch any longer, slammed his hand on the table. This is a financing meeting, not your personal playground. I ignored him, straightened my jacket, and walked to the head of the conference table, taking a seat. First of all, welcome everyone to this meeting, I began. I know you're all excited about this project's potential returns. So, I'll give you one choice. You can work with me, or you can work with Ms. Hayes. Sophia, Her face flushed with anger, clenched her jaw. You son of a... We're not even divorced yet. I own half of this project. Instantly, the other investors were on their feet, pointing fingers at me. Who the hell do you think you are, forcing us to choose sides? Who would ever want to work with a loser like you? I guarantee the second you walk out that door, we'll chew you and Miller Holdings up and spit you out. In just 2 sentences, I had thoroughly humiliated Sophia and all her backers. If the table hadn't been so wide, their coffee cups would have been all over my face. But I felt the atmosphere could still use a little more intensity. This was about to get fun. I raised an eyebrow at Sophia. Out of respect for our marriage, I'm willing to let you have this project in exchange for all your shares in Miller Holdings. The room went silent. Then Penn, who had been quiet for a while, let out a cold snort. Liam, you really have no idea how pathetic you are, do you? He sneered. Without Sophia, you wouldn't even have a seat at this table. What gives you the right to make such an outrageous demand? He just kept running his mouth. He really had a death wish. Too bad for him, I wasn't some pushover. If I could let Sophia rise to her current position, I had plenty of ways to bring her crashing down. I was going to show her exactly what happens when you cheat on me. Sophia, clearly oblivious to my intentions, hesitated. I pressed on. What happened to that bravado you had when you signed the guarantee? With your investment genius, the profit from this project should be more than enough to buy out my shares. Your hesitation. You're not worried this film is going to be a flop, are you? That seemed to strike a nerve with Penn, who clearly believed he was on the verge of superstardom. No one is better suited for this role than me, he declared. With me as the star, the box office will definitely clear $200 million. What a dreamer, I couldn't help but laugh. Then why is your dear Sophia hesitating? If it's such a sure thing, you could start a whole new Hayes Holdings with the profits. Maybe 2 of them. They could play at reverse psychology, but so could I. From Sophia's expression, I could tell she was wavering. Fine, someone get the paperwork. No need for that. I tore a blank page from the proposal and slapped it on the table with my pen. A handwritten agreement will do. Sophia rolled her eyes in disgust. You're so cheap. I must have been blind to ever fall for someone like you. She quickly scribbled down that she was voluntarily exchanging her shares in Miller Holdings for the Crown of Embers project, then signed her name. I nodded, satisfied, and held up my phone. Now hold up that paper and clearly state the terms. I'm taking a video. Penn's eyes widened. He stepped in front of Sophia, his hands clenched into fists. Don't push it. The agreement's signed. This project is no longer your concern. Now get out. He was certainly eager to take my place. But the show wasn't over yet and I wasn't about to leave. I shrugged. And if I say no? Security. Sophia shrieked, her sharp voice echoing through the conference room. Get this man out of my meeting. A group of burly security guards swarmed in, surrounding me. Just as they were about to lay hands on me, the door flew open. Stop. Everyone turned. A young man in a sharp suit strode into the room. What are you doing here? Is something wrong at the company? Sophia asked, confused. It was Sophia's younger brother, Chris Hayes. He walked straight past his sister, came right up to me, and handed me a thick envelope with both hands. Liam, are you okay? He asked with concern. I'm fine, but you can stop calling me that. I'm not your brother-in-law anymore. I took the envelope and shot a sarcastic look at Sophia. Miss Hayes seems to have a short memory. What does Miller Holdings have to do with you now? Chris frowned at his sister, realizing what had happened. He rushed to her side and grabbed her arm. Soph, what did you do? How could you divorce Liam? Don't you know that he's the one who Sophia, desperate to save face, didn't hesitate to shout him down? I'm your older sister. It's not your place to question my decisions. Chris saw the divorce papers on the table and snatched them up in disbelief. When he saw that only Sophia's signature was on them, he let out a sigh of relief. You know how good Liam has been to us. How could you divorce him? Don't you get it? We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for him. You haven't signed yet, so there's still time to fix this. Sister, apologize to Liam. Whatever the problem is, you can sit down as a family and talk it through. Chris's words were sincere, but they fell on deaf ears. Sophia had completely forgotten that when she first inherited her fortune, her own relatives were circling like vultures. As a widow with a young brother, they were even targeted by criminals. Our families had been allies for generations, so I took them in. She had convinced herself that she was some savior who swept in with her inheritance and rescued Miller Holdings. For years, I had taken care of all the problems with our projects before handing them to her, making her think every success was her own doing. Gradually, her ego grew to astronomical heights. After Chris graduated and joined the company, she started to believe Miller Holdings was their personal kingdom. That's when she stopped respecting me and eventually started cheating. What are you talking about? Liam is a nobody. Why shouldn't I divorce him? She retorted. The investors all nodded, agreeing with Sophia, yet they were confused why her own brother was defending an outsider. Only I knew he was making one last desperate attempt to pull his sister back from the abyss. Soph, he pleaded, beads of sweat on his forehead as he tried to talk some sense into her. What's wrong with you? Why can't you see what's happening? We're going to lose everything. Sophia took a deep breath and put a hand on his shoulder, her voice patient. Chris, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Once this project is finished, I'll have the capital to start my own company, Hayes Holdings. We won't have to work for the Millers anymore. Her naivety was almost funny. Penn, however, was all for it. He patted Chris's arm, as if he were already his new brother-in-law. Your sister's right. You're Sophia's brother. You shouldn't be siding with an outsider, especially a loser like Liam. You need to trust that she deserves better. Chris scowled and brushed off the spot where Penn had touched him. Who the hell are you? And why are you sticking your nose in my sister and my brother-in-law's business? Penn was speechless, looking helplessly at Sophia. On one side, her beloved brother, on the other, her handsome lover. I crossed my legs, curious to see how she would handle this. A second later, Sophia snapped at her brother. Chris, show some respect. Do you have any idea who he is? Yeah, Chris, that's not cool. I couldn't resist adding. He's your new brother-in-law. You can't talk to him like that. Sophia and Penn froze, their faces flushing with rage. Liam, don't you dare spread lies. I'm a public figure. I can sue you for slander. Penn shouted. Fury blazed in Sophia's eyes. You bastard, she hissed. This project has nothing to do with you anymore. Why are you still sitting here like a stray dog that won't leave? Do you want to be thrown out like trash? You two really are a perfect match, I countered, a slight smile playing on my lips. I wonder if you'll stick together when it all comes crashing down. I took the photos from the envelope Chris had given me and tossed them into the air. The images fluttered down like snowflakes, holding hands, arms around each other's waists, entering and leaving a hotel together. The investors rose one by one as they recognized Penn and Sophia's faces in the pictures. They looked at each other, stunned into silence. Penn's breathing grew heavy. Terrified of his career being ruined, he scrambled to pick up the photos, clutching them to his chest. No, it's not real. Don't look. Sophia's face twisted in rage. Those are fakes, she shrieked. You forged them to smear me and Penn. Remembering that Chris was the one who handed me the envelope, she whirled on him, pointing a finger in his face. It was you. I'm your own sister. How could you side with an outsider to hurt me? Chris, still reeling from the shock of the photos, just shook his head. It wasn't him. My assistant had given Chris the envelope to deliver. It was a psychological blow, having her own brother deliver the evidence of her affair in front of everyone. For Sophia, it was the ultimate betrayal, a knife to the heart. Seeing the looks of doubt and disgust from everyone in the room, Sophia grew more frantic. She forced herself to remain calm, lifted her chin, and said defiantly, "You're just a sore loser." What? You think a few photos are going to bring me down? No matter what, I'm going to score a huge win with the Crown of Embers project. And when I do, I will personally see to it that your precious Miller Holdings is wiped off the map. Her eyes darted around the room as she tried to garner sympathy. You never accomplish anything. You never pay any attention to me, but you have plenty of time for these dirty tricks. To my amazement, some of these so-called business titans actually nodded in understanding. I guess it's easy not to feel the pain when it's not your neck on the line. Lead actor sleeps his way to the top. That'll certainly be a headline. Is this part of your marketing campaign for the movie? Impressive. She grabbed the divorce papers and threw them at me. Enough talk. Just sign the papers. Every second I spend with you makes me sick. Chris started to step forward to stop me, but I shot him a look and he froze. He was a decent kid, and he knew right from wrong. But what Sophia did today had crossed a line I could not ignore. I signed my name with a flourish. If Sophia was determined to self-destruct, who was I to stop her? I looked up at her, my face a mask of indifference. Your decision isn't just going to destroy you and your little boyfriend, I said calmly. It's going to destroy Chris too. I had given her every chance. She had thrown them all away. Oh, please. If you don't own a mirror, you can at least look at your reflection in a puddle. You're a complete and utter loser, she spat. I have nothing to do with you now. If you don't get out, I'm calling the police. I spun around once in my chair, then kicked my feet up onto the conference table. Who says we have nothing to do with each other? You're not qualified to kick me out. You've been spewing garbage for a while now. Why don't you take a break, open your eyes, and watch? With that, I dialed a number on my phone. Tell the head of the Wealth Summit to come to the 23rd floor conference room. Tell him his dad is looking for him. Our meeting wasn't the only one happening in the International Finance Center. The investors in this room were juggling more than just the Crown of Embers project. Everyone in the city was dying to know who the silent whale behind the Wealth Summit was. The majority investor in every major deal. A single word from him could make or break a project. A moment later, footsteps echoed in the hall. A man about my age walked in. The entire room went wide-eyed. Jaws practically hit the floor. It was Ethan Vance, the kingmaker, the most respected investor in the business, the man every public company was desperate to partner with. Sophia quickly composed herself and approached him with a sycophantic smile, extending her hand. Mr. Vance, what an honor. The manager for Crown of Embers is now me. My name is Sophia Hayes. The so-called kingmaker sidestepped her as if she were toxic and walked straight to me. What's up, Dad? He playfully punched me in the chest. I gestured with my chin towards Sophia. This project manager here, my ex-wife by the way, is trying to have me thrown out. Ethan Vance immediately turned around, his expression ice cold. He gave the order without a moment's hesitation. We are unilaterally terminating our partnership on Crown of Embers. Halt all related projects immediately. The words hung in the air, the faces around the room a picture of stunned disbelief. What's happening? How does this kid know Ethan Vance? And they're calling each other Dad? They must be incredibly close. Does that mean the project is dead? And Sophia and her boy toy are finished? Dude, we're finished too. After everything we said about Mr. Miller, we basically insulted Mr. Vance. Forget this project. All our other deals are probably toast. I cleaned out my ear with my pinky, then slowly walked over to Sophia, a small smirk on my face. So, Miss Hayes, how about it? I don't think I'm the one who needs to leave anymore, am I? The color drained from Sophia's face. She looked at me, trembling, and whispered, Who? Who are you? How did I not know you were connected to Ethan Vance? Chris, furious and panicked, clenched his fists and rushed forward. Soph, don't you get it yet? He yelled, shaking her. You've made a terrible mistake. The only person in her family with a brain was desperately trying to get through to her. Liam was always the one running the projects. You were just the face of the company. How could you not see that? There was no crisis at Miller Holdings back then. That was just a story Liam put out while he was cleaning house. If it wasn't for him, our family, or worse, the mob, would have eaten us alive. I'd always admired Chris. He was sharp, seeing the power plays at the company even when he was still in high school, and I'd planned on mentoring him. Sophia crumpled to the floor, sobbing and clutching her head. The looks I was getting from everyone else had changed completely. They were a mix of terror and a desperate desire to please. After all, they had all sided with Sophia and said some pretty nasty things. Penn was even more pathetic. He had quietly inched his way to the door, about to make a run for it. You think you can just walk away? I said, cutting his escape short. Showbiz isn't a dumpster. It has no room for scandal-ridden wannabes like you. Pack your bags and get out of the business, because once these photos hit the internet, your career is over. He turned back, bowing frantically. Okay, I'll quit. I'll quit right now. I was a fool. I'm so sorry. I'll go now. When I looked again, Sophia was on her knees. She grabbed my pant leg, her face streaked with tears of regret. Liam, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Please, can we start over? I promise I'll listen to you from now on. I'll do anything. I took a cold step back. I don't think so. Have you forgotten the vows we both made on our wedding day? One act of infidelity, a lifetime of consequences. She turned and pulled Chris down to his knees beside her. But Chris has always been loyal to you. He's only ever thought of you as his brother-in-law. For his sake, please, just give me one more chance. All eyes were on me, waiting to see what I would do. I lifted my chin, signaling for Chris to stand up. Don't call me brother-in-law anymore. Being married to your sister was the greatest shame of my life. You have talent, Chris. I'll get you a position at another firm if you're willing. As for Sophia, my voice turned to ice, every word sharp and devoid of warmth. Disappear from my life forever. Otherwise, you will face consequences you cannot possibly imagine. Sophia shot to her feet as if she had nothing left to lose. You can't do this to me. I made a mistake. The same kind of mistake men make all the time. Why is it so unforgivable for me? I'd advise you not to provoke me any further, I said. I'm already being merciful for old time's sake. Do you really think your fate would be any better otherwise? My words were like a slap across her face. She lowered her head in silence. Chris, take your sister and go. As they left, she kept looking back, her tear-stained face a desperate plea. But I wasn't looking. I was too busy being surrounded by a crowd of sycophants. Mr. Miller, we were blind. Please, you're a big man. Don't hold it against us. Yes, we were fools. We beg you, please don't have us blacklisted in the industry. I waved a dismissive hand and turned to leave with Ethan. Hey, Ethan, I said, you think you could come up with a cool nickname for me, like the Kingmaker? Get lost, he laughed. Stop making fun of your dad. You've got better things to do, like getting the Crown of Embers project back on track. Calling each other Dad was the oldest joke between us. I ended up signing the A-list actor after all. When the movie was released, it was a runaway success, ultimately breaking the $500 million mark at the box office. One day, a delivery guy brought a massive bouquet of flowers to my house. He said a Miss Hayes wanted to congratulate me on the project's success. I just shook my head. You have the wrong address, I said. I don't know anyone by that name.